So what not to do with the Surface Hub? Well, actually, I'm kind of doing one of those things now, which is using it purely as a presentation tool. One of the great things about this device is the fact that you can bring up different applications at the same time and do lots of different things. And so if I bring this one back, then you can have your presentation going at the same time as a whiteboard. Now you're starting to just nudge into where the possibilities are. You could have a Skype call going at the same time, and you're starting to use three of probably the most well-known scenarios that Hub is known for. But I would say the number one thing that you shouldn't do is treat it as an only device. And what do I mean by that? I mean only Skype, only Whiteboard, or only presentations. But one thing we see is that people set this up and they say, oh, this is going to be our Skype machine, or this is going to be our interactive whiteboard, and that's the only thing they focus on. Or the other thing, when I talk about presentations, like here I'm presenting PowerPoint natively, but a lot of people will just grab their laptop and present using Wi-Fi or the WideDirect stuff. Yeah, the Miracast technology, and then they just take over the device, and they may as well at that point really just be having a projector. And that's a huge waste of the resource that you've got sitting here. So let's get positive and talk about some of the things that will take advantage of it. So, and you know, some of this is based on things we've seen as well. So the first thing that's really important is to make sure that it's always on. And this may sound a bit like, well, why does it always need to be on? Well, because people won't switch it on if they come in. And because of the proximity sensors, it actually detects when people walk into the space, and it lights up. And that's designed to encourage people to come up to it and start doing something. So making sure that it's always on. Now that might mean that you have some kind of schedule so that during work hours, whatever the hell that means nowadays, but maybe between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. or something, it's on. But that means that as soon as someone walks up to it, it lights up and it indicates to them that it's available to do something. Accessible, putting a credenza in front of, and we've seen this in quite a few locations where it's got something, furniture in front of it, or it's too high for some people, so it's mounted high on a wall. It looks great as you walk in, but anyone kind of under 5'6" can't reach the top of the screen. And remember that in the modern workplace, if you employ more than a certain number of people, you're supposed to cater for wheelchair users as well. So slight challenge with this device potentially, if you mount it wrong, and even a wheelchair user probably can't reach the top of this screen right now. So yeah, just things to think about within the environment that it gets put in, making sure that it's accessible. You can get it very wrong very quickly. When you think about this as really supposed to be a group device, and for some scenarios you want 3 or 4 people, maybe 6 people huddled around the device, having a conversation, exploring something, doing something together, you need that space for those people to stand in front of it. So yeah, you want to be thinking about creating that space and not putting a meeting room table that finishes here, so that only one person can kind of squeeze in and write on it. Helping people learn to work together, because typically they work on their personal devices, and learning to work together on a shared screen, it's a different skill set, and it's not necessarily the first thing that people understand how to do. And often I think it's a good idea to get someone who's a change agent or a change manager to come in and help with some of that, especially if you've got a number of these units going into be deployed in an environment with a number of people that need to learn how to engage with it. To get the most out of the device, you really want to get that cultural shift happening, and that requires some thinking around how people engage with each other within the space and using the hub as almost an accelerator to get them working better together faster. So my next point is actually apps. So there's a range of apps, a bunch of which surprisingly, or not surprisingly, are installed here because it's the retail store device. So there's lots of demos and things, but don't be constrained to kind of what you know as what you would normally consider as a meeting room application, PowerPoint and whiteboards. Think about other things that you want to do or that your customers want to do specifically within that environment, and enable that by bringing up apps that maybe if they're doing construction design, have an app that loads Rivet files so they can load their native file type that they're using every day up onto the device. And it's not hard to find those apps. They may not do exactly what they want, but it gets them started.
Give us an example, Neil.
Of an app?
Yeah.
Well, the app that loaded up this, I know what you're fishing for. So the app that loaded up the PowerPoint is N2 Documents, which enables you to tag on with an NFC tag, and I'm logged into my OneDrive, my SharePoint, and I can also log into Dropbox or OneDrive Personal.
An example is just to be able to write on a slide. Like I use this a lot when I'm presenting on Hub. Like as Neil said, I don't take my laptop into a room anymore. I wander around the campus at Microsoft because we don't have that many hubs. I wander around the campus when I'm about to do a meeting and find one that's free, if there is one that's free, and just walk in there and log in and get my files and see my calendar and dial straight from there. Never take my laptop. There's no point. Might have a USB key. But the ability to add inking support across Word, Excel, and PowerPoint is very simple but very powerful. So before it was death by PowerPoint, 50 slides. I can condense them down into probably 5 and use the pen to draw on the slide. Makes them much more interesting. People don't sit there with drool coming down the side of their mouth. The 4-way video that you see here is only going to be on Teams. Remember, the design principles for Hub are simplicity, security, and cloud ready. So in many ways, the Hub pulls through Office 365 revenue from Microsoft. I don't think we make very much in the device at all. But forcing is not the right word, encouraging customers to move into the cloud. And Teams is obviously, they get extra functionality around, say, the 4-way video. Now, I don't imagine in this version of hardware we're going to do anything more than that, because the onus of processing the video streams is actually on the CPU, okay, because we're using H.264 SVC. But for the 95th percentile, this is probably enough. Skype for Business client will remain, but in a Skype for Business meeting, you'll only get the 2-person video live layout. So there is a distinction to be made, an advantage of moving to Teams. Here's the new whiteboard. It doesn't look that much different, but the underlying technology is different. When you this is in when let me go to the next. So sorry, yeah. So there's sticky notes on it, and the invite methodology is going to be based through. I don't know if it's solely going to be based through Teams, but this is certainly showing it as reflecting through the Teams client, which is obviously going to make it much more simple to join. So you can invite others into the team, which can be guest users as well, and guest users for the whiteboard. And when they join in, the whiteboard session will already be there for them to join through the Teams client. So it gets around having to do that whole sign in and invite thing. It's just much more streamlined.